Let me tell you something that most people miss. Success doesn't start when the spotlight hits you, it starts when the alarm clock goes off. You can't rise to greatness if you keep hitting snooze on your calling. Successful people understand that the first battle of the day isn't fought in the boardroom, it's fought in the bedroom between the pillow and your purpose. You can't sleep your way into success. You have to own your mornings. When I say they own their mornings, I don't mean they're just awake, I mean they are intentional. The morning is the runway to the rest of your day. If you let chaos own your morning, then you've handed over the steering wheel of your life before you even pulled out of the driveway. But when you start with focus, when you start with authority, when you start with prayer, with planning, with presence, you set the atmosphere. Atmosphere is everything. Ask any farmer what you plant is important, but where and when you plant, it determines your harvest. Your morning is your soil. If you sow distraction, you'll reap frustration. But if you sow order, discipline, and faith, you'll reap success. Successful people don't wake up reacting to the world, they wake up commanding it. They don't check their phones first. They check their spirit. They don't scroll Instagram, they scroll through their goals. Because they understand that the moment you start your day reacting, you've put yourself at the mercy of somebody else's priorities. You've become a slave to the noise instead of a steward of your destiny, and make no mistake about it, there is a war for your attention the moment your eyes open. Social media, emails, texts, breaking news, all of it is waiting to tell you who you are and what you should care about. But the successful say, no, before I hear from the world, I'm going to hear from God. Before I hear complaints, I will cultivate clarity. Before I hear noise, I will speak purpose. There is a reason why the scriptures say, early will I seek thee, because the morning is sacred. The morning is where clarity lives. The morning is where vision is quiet enough to hear, and successful people protect that time. They treat it like a sanctuary. They don't let chaos walk in uninvited. They set boundaries. They create structure. They say, this is the time where I invest in me, so I can pour out to others. You cannot give to the world what you haven't first given to yourself. You cannot lead others when you haven't led your own thoughts. And you can't lead your thoughts if you start your day drowning in distraction. You see, successful people understand the power of rhythm. They don't just have a schedule, they have a sacred routine. A rhythm that sharpens their mind, strengthens their spirit, and disciplines their flesh. They have a structure to how they start their day, and that structure becomes the skeleton of their success. Whether it's reading, praying, meditating, exercising, journaling, or simply sitting in silence, they do it with consistency, because success doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do consistently. I want you to catch this. You can't expect extraordinary outcomes from an ordinary routine. If you start your day in chaos, don't be surprised when chaos becomes the pattern of your life. But if you start your day in purpose, in peace, in power, that becomes the tone of everything that follows. The morning becomes the thermostat for your emotions, your productivity, your relationships, and your decisions. The morning is when you decide, I will not let life just happen to me, I will happen to life. Let me be clear, owning your morning isn't about being perfect. It's about being prepared. You may still have problems, you may still face delays, but when you've owned your morning, you walk into the battlefield of the day armed. You walk in knowing who you are, why you're here, and what you're after. And there's a difference between people who wander through the day and those who march through it. One is lost, the other is led. Successful people lead themselves before they lead anything else. The truth is, your future is not shaped in the big moments, it's shaped in the daily ones. The quiet decisions, the small disciplines, the early mornings, that's where greatness is formed. And if you want to shift your life, shift your mornings, start there. Get up with a plan, wake up with praise. Move with intention, because every morning is another chance to command your life. And if you can command the first hour, you can command the next 20. 3. So I ask you, will you wake up to life? Or will you let life keep waking you up? Will you wait for the day to tell you who you are? Or will you tell the day who it belongs to, own your morning, and watch your life rise with it? Before they check their schedule, before they check their messages, before they check the mirror, successful people check their alignment. Because they understand that you cannot drive forward in purpose if your mind, body, and spirit are out of sync. When your soul is in chaos, your day will be in disorder. When your thoughts are scattered, your plans will be scattered. When your body is neglected, your energy will betray you. And when your spirit is empty, your decisions will come from a dry place. Successful people know that if they're going to carry the weight of greatness, they must first stabilize the foundation that supports it. Let me break it down for you. You cannot build a skyscraper of dreams on a cracked foundation. Before you make the calls, before you sign the deals, before you chase the goal, you must check your internal compass. And that starts early in the morning. Because the morning is not just a time, it's a discipline. It's a declaration that I matter enough to center myself before the demands of life scatter me. See, successful people don't stumble into strength, they prepare for it. They prepare their minds by renewing them. They don't let yesterday's stress become today's mindset. They sit down and realign their thoughts with intention. Maybe they read scripture. Maybe they meditate. Maybe they journal. Maybe they listen to a podcast. Whatever the method, the message is the same. I will not let my mind be led by accident. I will lead it on purpose. Because the mind is a battlefield. And if you don't take your thoughts captive early, your thoughts will take you captive all day long. The mind is where fear is born. The mind is where doubt breeds. The mind is where procrastination builds its house. And successful people say, I will not fight all day with a mind I failed to prepare this morning. So they renew it. They sharpen it. They fill it with wisdom and light, because what goes in must come out. But alignment doesn't stop with the mind, it touches the body. Let me tell you something. Energy is not just physical, it is strategic. The body is the engine that carries the dream, and you cannot run on empty and expect to arrive with excellence. Successful people understand that if the body breaks down, everything else slows down. So they move it, they fuel it, they stretch it. They wake it up with discipline, because the body will do what the mind tells it, but only if it's strong enough to obey. You can't ignore your health while pursuing your wealth. What good is reaching the top if you're too tired, too sick, or too worn out to enjoy it? What good is climbing the mountain if you collapse at the summit because you never trained for the climb? Success is not just about speed, it's about sustainability. And if your body fails, your future will falter. So successful people invest in their temple, not just for appearance, but for endurance. They're not trying to impress the world with their image. They're trying to equip themselves for impact. And now we come to the deepest layer, the spirit. Successful people know that without spiritual alignment, success becomes shallow. Because what does it profit a man to gain the world but lose his soul? What does it mean to build a tower of influence if your foundation has no integrity? They rise early not just to plan their day, but to pray over it. They understand that purpose comes from the one who gave it. That clarity comes from communion. That strength comes from surrender. You see, spiritual alignment isn't just about religion, it's about connection. It's about listening before speaking. It's about inviting God into your decisions. It's about recognizing that no matter how skilled, how intelligent, or how talented you are not the source of your own success. You are a steward, and when you recognize that, you stop hustling from a place of desperation and start moving from a place of divine direction. When the spirit is aligned, the storm can rage, but you stay steady. When the spirit is aligned, criticism may come, but it doesn't crush you. When the spirit is aligned, fear knocks, but faith answers. That's why successful people begin their day by anchoring themselves in something eternal. They don't just chase success, they walk in significance. They're not just reacting to life, they're being led through it. So when you see a successful person walking in calm confidence, when you see them unshaken by drama, unbothered by noise, and unmoved by fear, understand that didn't start at 10 a. a.m. that started at 5 a.m. That came from the quiet place. That came from stillness, from alignment, from discipline. It came from taking time to center the mind, honor the body, and submit the spirit. You want to rise higher. Start lower. Start in the morning. Start in the silence. Start in the secret place. Because when you prioritize alignment, not just ambition, you won't just succeed faster. You'll succeed stronger. And your life won't just be impressive, it will be anchored. If you want to understand how successful people move through life with strength, consistency, and grace, then you need to understand this truth. They start their mornings by activating two powerful forces, gratitude and vision. Before they conquer the world, they conquer their perspective. Because what you focus on determines how you feel, how you function, and ultimately, how far you go. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it is a discipline. It's a decision to look at what you already have and say, this is enough to begin. It is the antidote to stress, the cure for comparison, and the foundation of contentment. Successful people don't wait until everything is perfect to be thankful. They're thankful on the way. They're grateful in the middle. They don't need a big breakthrough to lift their hands and say, Lord, I thank you. They understand that when you water what you already have, it multiplies. When you honor the little, God can trust you with the much. Let me tell you, your attitude in the morning is the thermostat of your entire day, and gratitude is how successful people set the temperature. They rise up and instead of complaining about what they don't have, they start thanking God for what they do have. Thank you for another day. Thank you for the breath in my lungs. Thank you for the strength in my body. Thank you for the opportunities before me. Thank you for what didn't go wrong. This is not just spiritual talk, it's strategy, because you can't move into new territory with a bitter spirit. Gratitude detoxifies the heart and clears the mind so that vision can flow. You see, vision doesn't grow well in the soil of negativity. If your heart is full of resentment, if your mind is consumed with what others have and what you lack, there's no room for God to plant something new. That's why gratitude comes first. It's the cleansing of the lens. It's wiping the dirt off your perspective so you can see what's possible. When you are grateful, you are not blind to your challenges, you are simply more focused on your potential than your problems. That's when vision enters the room, because after gratitude opens your eyes, vision tells you what to focus on. Vision is what gives your life direction. Successful people don't just hope their day goes well, they see it. They walk into the morning with a mental picture of where they're headed. They understand that if you can't see it, you'll never seize it. So they visualize the outcome, they affirm the goal, and they rehearse success in their minds before it shows up in their reality. God said to Habakkuk, "Write the vision and make it plain." Why? Because vision without clarity is just imagination. Successful people don't just dream, they document. They write it down. They speak it aloud. They review it daily. Some write affirmations. Some build vision boards. Others journal their goals. But they all do one thing in common. They keep their vision in front of their face. Because they know if they don't look at it often, they'll drift. They'll settle. They'll forget. But when you see the goal daily, you shape your decisions around it. Vision does not just motivate, it disciplines. When you start your morning with vision, you remind yourself of what matters. And when you know what matters, you stop wasting time on what doesn't. You stop scrolling aimlessly. You stop reacting emotionally. You stop chasing everything that glitters. You start aligning your energy, your actions, and your relationships with your purpose. That's why vision is powerful. It pulls you. When life gets hard, when obstacles rise up, when emotions try to shake you, vision whispers, keep going. There's something greater ahead. Gratitude grounds you. Vision guides you. And when the two walk together, Your mornings become more than routine, they become revelation. They become the launching pad for destiny. That's why successful people protect their mornings so fiercely. It's not just about waking up early, it's about waking up intentionally. It's about guarding the gates of your mind and refusing to start the day in confusion or complaint. Let me tell you, the enemy of your purpose is not always failure. Sometimes it's forgetfulness. When you forget what you're thankful for, you begin to chase what doesn't satisfy. When you forget your vision, you fall for distractions that look like opportunities. But when you stay rooted in gratitude and focused on vision, you move with power. You live with clarity. You walk with peace. You don't have to wait until success shows up to start acting like you're successful. Start now. Start tomorrow morning. Before you check your notifications, check your gratitude. Before you rush out the door, revisit your vision, speak it, see it, give thanks for it, and then move through your day like someone who's already walking in it. Because gratitude is your anchor and vision is your compass. One keeps you steady, the other keeps you moving. And together, they prepare you for the kind of life you were born to live. Distraction is the enemy of direction. And if you want to understand why some people rise with excellence while others wander in confusion, look no further than the first hour of their day. Successful people have learned something that many still ignore. You can't build momentum in a mind that's overloaded with noise. You cannot walk in purpose if you're always chasing pinging notifications, meaningless headlines, and the constant updates of other people's lives. The day hasn't even started yet, and your peace is already being negotiated. Your focus is already under attack. But successful people don't surrender their mornings to the chaos. They don't hand over their focus to every vibration and alert. They eliminate distractions like a surgeon removing infection, not because they're antisocial or disconnected, but because they understand this one truth: where your attention goes, your energy flows. And you can't afford to waste energy when you've got mountains to climb. You can't afford to feed distractions when you have destiny calling. You see, most people are not failing because they don't have talent. Most people aren't stuck because they lack ideas. It's not that they don't have potential, it's that they're too distracted to tap into it. Scrolling instead of studying, comparing instead of creating, reacting instead of reflecting. The moment they wake up, their mind is hijacked by everyone else's agenda, and then they wonder why they feel so depleted by noon, why they have no momentum, why the day feels like a blur. It's because they never took authority over their attention. But successful people, they wake up like gatekeepers. They say, no, not today, not in this moment, not in this sacred hour. They protect their mental space like it's prime real estate. Because it is. They don't allow their first thoughts to be shaped by the opinions of strangers on the internet. They don't let the world rush into their room before they've had a moment to sit with themselves and with their source. Because they know that clarity isn't found in chaos. Peace doesn't rise out of noise, and vision doesn't grow in a distracted heart. You cannot hear what God is trying to tell you when your mind is tuned into everything else. You can't download divine instruction when you're busy uploading your breakfast for likes. There is a difference between being informed and being overwhelmed, and the successful have drawn a line. They understand that just because the world is loud doesn't mean they have to listen. Just because something is urgent doesn't mean it's important. They don't respond to everything. They don't chase every crisis. They choose stillness over speed, discipline over impulse, purpose over popularity. Let me break this down for you. Distraction is a thief. It steals your time, your focus, your peace, your creativity, and your productivity, and it doesn't even ask for permission. But the successful lock the doors. They schedule their mornings with intention. They know where they're going, so they cut off everything that doesn't take them in that direction. Some of them turn their phones on airplane mode. Others don't check email until a certain time. Many of them wake up before the world does, just to enjoy a few precious moments of silence, reflection, and clarity. They've trained their minds like athletes, Because greatness doesn't come from how fast you move, it comes from how focused you are. Don't miss this. You can be busy and still be going nowhere. You can be active and still be unproductive. If your activity is fueled by distraction, it will never lead to fulfillment. But when your activity is powered by focus, real, sustained, intentional focus, you create momentum. And momentum is a gift. Momentum is when you wake up and start stacking wins, when you get one thing done and it energizes you to tackle the next, when your morning flows with such clarity and peace that your whole day begins to bend in your favor. That kind of flow doesn't come by accident. It comes by design. That's why successful people are strategic about their mornings. They do the most important things first before distractions can even get a foothold. They pray first, they think first, they plan first, they build first. They protect the first part of the day because they understand this principle. Whatever owns your morning owns your momentum. And if the world owns your morning, you will always be playing catch-up. But if you own your morning, if you start with structure, if you begin with boundaries, if you launch with focus, then success doesn't chase you. It flows through you. Some people think eliminating distractions means being rigid or cold. No, my friend, it means being faithful, faithful to the calling on your life, faithful to the purpose planted in your heart, faithful to the dream God gave you in the dark. It means recognizing that your attention is valuable and you must spend it wisely. Because every moment wasted in distraction is a moment stolen from your destiny. So the next time you wake up, ask yourself, am I feeding my focus or am I feeding my distractions? Because one will build your future and the other will break it. And if you want to walk like the successful, live like the focused, and rise like the disciplined, you must be willing to silence the noise, block out the clutter, and command your morning. Momentum is not magic. It's management. And it starts by making sure your first hour is not surrendered to chaos, but anchored in purpose. Let me tell you something that will change how you operate forever. Success is not built on how you feel, it's built on how you plan. The most successful people in the world do not allow their emotions to dictate their schedule. They don't wake up and ask, "Do I feel like it today?" They don't wait for motivation to find them. They wake up and follow a plan. Because when you live by your emotions, you will be tossed around like a leaf in the wind. But when you live by structure, you plant your feet on solid ground. You see, feelings are real, but they are not reliable. They shift with the weather, they change with your mood, they rise and fall with your circumstances. But structure is consistent. Structure is committed. Structure will get you up when your feelings want to pull you back under the covers. Structure will have you working on your goals when your emotions say, "Take it easy today." That's why successful people schedule before they feel. They map it out. They write it down. They define their day before distractions and disappointments have a chance to hijack it. There's a reason why God gave us time, because time brings order. And structure is how we honor that time. You can't manage what you don't measure. If your whole life is just reacting to whatever comes your way, you will never have the power to lead it. But successful people don't react, they respond, and they do it with a plan. They sit down in the morning, or better yet, the night before, and they put first things first. They don't let the urgent rob them of the important. They don't confuse activity with productivity. They know that not everything that comes their way deserves their time, so they decide what matters most. Let me make it plain. If your goals are not on your calendar, they are not real goals. They are wishes, they are ideas floating in the air. Successful people move beyond hope and into execution. They treat their calendar like sacred ground. They put time for prayer, time for deep work, time for health, time for family, and time for growth. And when life tries to interrupt them, they check the plan. They don't ask, "Do I feel like doing it?" They ask, "Did I plan to do it?" Because what gets scheduled gets done. And don't get it twisted, this is not about being robotic or legalistic. This is about being responsible, because success is not emotional, it is intentional. That's what separates high performers from high dreamers. Both have vision, but only one has structure. The dreamer hopes to arrive one day, while the planner prepares for it. That's why successful people know, if I fail to plan, I plan to fail. Your day is a seed, and structure is how you plant that seed in good ground. If you want a harvest at the end of the week, you need to water your time with attention and intention. You need to show up when you said you would. You need to do the work even when no one is watching. You need to stay focused even when it's not exciting, because consistency is what builds momentum, and momentum is what separates the busy from the effective. Now, hear me clearly. Successful people are not perfect. They don't always feel good. They get tired. They get frustrated. They face challenges, but they don't let their emotions sit in the driver's seat. They consult their plan. They follow the structure. They might bend, but they don't break. Because their commitment is not based on how they feel in the moment. It's based on who they decided to be before the moment even arrived. You want to change your life. Change how you start your day. Don't roll out of bed into confusion. Don't stumble into your schedule with guesswork and anxiety. Wake up with clarity. Sit down with your planner. Review your priorities. Set your intentions. Block out your time. Decide your focus. Because if you don't control your day, something else will. And if you keep letting life lead you by emotion, you'll never build anything that lasts. Let's be honest, discipline is not always exciting. Planning is not always glamorous, but it's necessary. It's the backbone of breakthrough. It's the framework of freedom. And yes, I said freedom, because when your life has structure, you're not a slave to chaos. You're not buried under missed deadlines and broken promises. You're not drained from running in circles. You're moving forward with direction, with flow, with rhythm, and that rhythm leads to results. The difference between people who dream and people who deliver often comes down to one thing: how they start their day. One wakes up and waits to feel like it. The other wakes up and does it anyway. One waits for the right mood. The other relies on the right plan. Which one are you going to be? Because at the end of the day, success is not something you stumble into. It is something you structure. It is the sum total of consistent mornings governed by purpose, not emotion. So rise up, take control, map it out, stick to it, and watch how your daily structure becomes the stairway to your greatest season. My brothers and sisters, if there's one thing you take away from this message today, let it be this: the way you start your morning sets the tone for your destiny. Success is not just about talent, connections, or education. It's about how you prepare, how you prioritize, and how you position yourself before the world ever lays eyes on you. You don't wake up successful, you wake up intentional. You rise with a routine, not by reaction. You lift your eyes in gratitude, not grumbling. You command your thoughts with vision, not confusion. You block out the noise, focus your energy, and walk into the day with a plan rooted in purpose and powered by discipline. This is how the great ones are made, not by chance, but by choice. You must understand, the enemy of your future is not always failure. Sometimes it's distraction. Sometimes it's inconsistency. Sometimes it's the belief that I'll start tomorrow. But successful people, they start today. They start early. They start focused. They start faithful. They don't let their feelings lead them. They let structure guide them. They don't wait for motivation. They show up with momentum. So I challenge you today, don't just admire the habits of successful people. Adopt them. Wake up earlier. Speak gratitude out loud. Write your vision and keep it in front of you. Eliminate what drains you. Schedule what matters. Walk into each day like it's preparing you for something greater, because it is. This is your time. This is your moment. Heaven is waiting on your discipline. The world is waiting on your consistency. And your destiny is waiting on your decision. So tomorrow morning, don't just wake up. Rise. Don't just move. Advance. Don't just exist. Live on purpose. Because how you start your morning determines how far you go in life.